You know, the landscape of the National Football League, it's this incredibly fragile, volatile ecosystem. I mean, everything, and I mean absolutely everything, can change in a matter of seconds. A single lingering injury, one unexpected draft pick hitting perfectly, or in the case of what we're talking about today, one masterfully executed blockbuster trade. Just one move can completely shatter the balance of power across the entire league and instantly crown a brand new dynasty. Welcome to NFL Nexus, everyone. I am so glad you're here today, but before we unpack the absolute tectonic shift that is currently brewing and about to hit the league, do me a quick favor. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button on this explainer, and comment down below with what you think about all of this as we go along. And hey, if you really want to take your football knowledge to the absolute highest tier and help us keep doing deep dives just like this, please consider supporting the channel by becoming a channel member. It means the world to us. Okay, let's get into it. Today we are looking at an explainer of the absolute highest stakes. We are examining a front office move so seismic, so incredibly massive that it legitimately threatens to alter the very fabric of the NFC. We are talking about a true cinematic catalyst brewing right now in the Windy City.
It is arguably the most agonizing question in all of professional sports, isn't it? What exactly separates a really good playoff contender from a terrifying, undisputed Super Bowl champion? Because, let's be real, it is rarely just a matter of effort. These guys are all professionals. It isn't just about having a talented quarterback, or a stingy top 10 defense, or even a brilliant play caller on the headset. The margin between a good team that bows out in the divisional round and a legendary, historic team that gets to hoist the Lombardi Trophy under the confetti is agonizingly thin. Ultimately, it all comes down to leverage. I want you to picture this for a second. Put yourself in this scenario. It's late January. The frozen, chewed-up turf of Soldier Field feels literally like concrete beneath your cleats. The wind is howling off Lake Michigan at 30 miles an hour, biting through every layer you have on. The football itself feels like a solid block of ice, and the sheer physical toll of a grueling 17-game season is just tearing at the muscles of every single defender on the field. In that exact brutal environment, you need a physical trump card. You need an offensive weapon so undeniable, so utterly dominant, that opposing defensive coordinators are literally losing sleep on Thursday and Friday nights trying to scheme against it. It is all about having an immovable object when the elements degrade, when the passing game stalls, when the game is on the line, and you absolutely must impose your physical will on the opponent.
All right, let's move into Section 1, a shifting NFL landscape.
To truly grasp the sheer magnitude of the chess move we are about to break down, we first have to step back and look at the board exactly as it stands today. The 2026 Chicago Bears are no longer just a cute, feel-good rebuilding story. That era is over. They are a looming powerhouse. Entering this upcoming season, they are officially projected by Vegas and major analytical models to go 11-6. They are widely expected to conquer the NFC North. General Manager Ryan Poles has methodically, piece by piece, dismantled the old broken roster and painstakingly assembled a modern, explosive juggernaut. And the engine of that juggernaut, the absolute centerpiece, is Caleb Williams. Let's talk about 2025. In 2025, Williams didn't just manage the game, he completely took it over. We are talking about a staggering 3,942 passing yards. But you know us here at NFL Nexus, we have to look deeper than just the surface yardage. We have to analyze exactly how he achieved this. Operating under the brilliant, highly innovative mind of offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, Williams posted absolutely elite expected points added per dropback. He showed this uncanny, almost veteran-like ability to navigate collapsing pockets, perfectly maintaining his mechanics, and delivering these wild, off-platform throws that just completely broke defensive coverages. He finished 6th in the entire National Football League with 27 passing touchdowns. Think about that. He was dissecting veteran secondary coverages with surgical precision, beautifully utilizing dagger concepts, deep mesh routes, and high-low flood reads that stressed opposing defensive backs to their absolute breaking point. And what happened when the initial read wasn't there? When the offensive line broke down and the pocket collapsed, he just crushed the souls of linebackers, racking up 388 rushing yards, scrambling for vital back-breaking first downs, and keeping the chains moving as a truly lethal dual-threat weapon. His time to throw metrics indicate a quarterback who is processing high-level information at an elite pace. But, and this is a massive but, as any football historian will tell you, winning your division is just the prologue of the story. The Bears have built a high-performance sports car, right? But to win the ultimate race, you have to examine what happens when that engine is pushed to its absolute breaking limit in the postseason. And here is the cold, brutal reality of the NFL. You simply cannot ask a young quarterback to carry the entire weight of a franchise on his shoulders for 17 regular season games, plus a grueling physical playoff run without eventually breaking. You just can't.
Which brings us to Section 2, Chicago's missing championship piece.
This brings us right to the glaring vulnerability, the one big thing standing between this promising, explosive Chicago roster and a legitimate, undeniable championship run. It's their Achilles heel. If you look closely at the blueprint of this roster, there is a hollow space right in the dead center of the offense. In January, when the passing game is momentarily neutralized by elite playoff secondaries, or by that freezing Chicago weather we talked about, you cannot just drop back and throw the ball 40 times a game. You need a hammer. Now let's be incredibly precise and fair here. DeAndre Swift is a highly capable starting running back. His 83.0 Pro Football Focus grade last year absolutely proves he is a versatile, dynamic player who deserves respect. But there is a massive, cavernous difference between a capable back and a terrifying one. Swift operates best in space. He is a phenomenal complementary piece. But if you look at the deep analytics, his yards after contact metrics drop off significantly when he is forced to run directly into the teeth of a heavy, stacked defensive front. What the Chicago Bears desperately lack is the brutal, true bell cow running back. They need an elite power runner. When opposing defenses line up in a light 4-2-5 nickel package to defend Caleb Williams and all those receivers, Chicago currently struggles to punish them for having lighter, faster personnel on the field. They need a goal line enforcer who doesn't just look for open lanes, but literally creates them through sheer force of will, shattering arm tackles and constantly falling forward for that extra yard. When it is 3rd and 2 in the fourth quarter of the NFC Championship game and the opposing defensive line pins their ears back, you don't want a capable back. You need a monster. You need someone who can absolutely guarantee you those 2 yards, punish the middle linebacker in the gap, and give Caleb Williams the physical breathing room he needs to operate.
And that introduces Section 3, the Jonathan Taylor factor.
Which leads us to the ultimate league-breaking solution, a transaction that doesn't just fill a gap on the depth chart, but completely breaks the competitive balance of the entire league, acquiring Jonathan Taylor from the Indianapolis Colts. Look, this isn't just a roster upgrade, this is a hostile takeover of the NFC. Taylor is the exact kind of generational, rare talent that literally forces opposing teams to rewrite their entire defensive playbooks on Tuesday mornings. He is the missing piece that transforms a great passing attack into a truly unstoppable, multi-dimensional offensive machine. Just let this number on the screen sink in for a moment. 1,963. That is how many total scrimmage yards Jonathan Taylor generated in 2025. He was legitimately in the MVP conversation before the Colts season completely unraveled around him. He didn't just have a good year. He put the entire Indianapolis offense on his back and carried them week after exhausting week. But to truly understand the weight of this number, we have to look at the advanced metrics. A staggering, almost unbelievable percentage of these yards came after initial contact. We are talking about dozens of explosive runs of 20 yards or more, completely breaking the spirits of cornerbacks and safeties tasked with tackling him one-on-one in the open field. And here is the most terrifying part for the rest of the NFL, and the reason Chicago has to make this move. Jonathan Taylor is only 27 years old. He is entering the absolute, undeniable apex of his physical prime. He has no lingering major injury history to speak of right now. His motor is relentless. He has 226 pounds of pure, unadulterated power, capable of running straight through 300-pound defensive tackles at the line of scrimmage, and then flat-out outrunning secondary players down the sideline. Think about it. The sheer physics of trying to tackle a 226-pound man with 4.3 speed in the freezing cold fourth quarter of a playoff game. That is a nightmare scenario that completely exhausts the defense. It breaks their will.
20 total touchdowns in a single season. Let me say that again. A 3-time Pro Bowler averaging a mind-bending 6.0 yards per carry. Guys, when an NFL offense averages 6 yards a clip on the ground, the defense breaks. It just becomes a mathematical impossibility to stop them. Let's look at the actual geometry of a football field for a second. In the modern NFL, defenses desperately want to live in 2 high safety shells. They want to sit back in zone, keep everything in front of them, and try to confuse young quarterbacks like Caleb Williams by taking away the deep third of the field. They want to force you to dink and dunk. But if you have Jonathan Taylor standing in the backfield, averaging 6 yards a carry against those light boxes, defenses can no longer afford to play too high. They are forced, out of sheer survival, to commit 8 men to the tackle box. They have to roll their strong safety down into the flat to stop the bleeding. And the exact moment they do that, they are leaving their cornerbacks on isolated islands, in pure cover 1 or cover 0 looks against Chicago's elite wide receivers. It is a brilliant, completely unsolvable dilemma for a defensive coordinator. If you play light to stop the pass, Taylor bleeds you to death, 6 yards a pop, all the way down the field. If you load the box to stop the run, Caleb Williams throws right over your head for a 70-yard touchdown. It's checkmate.
But you know, it's not just his physical power, it's his mind. The source material highlights his, quote, the vision to miss defenders in tight spaces. Taylor possesses this rare, elite vision to diagnose incredibly complex blocking schemes in real time. Now I want you to visualize this specific skill set perfectly inserted into Ben Johnson's offense. Johnson is a mastermind of offensive architecture. We're talking about highly complex gap-blocking schemes, pulling guards, pin and pull concepts, heavy counteraction that messes with defensive keys. Johnson utilizes constant, dizzying pre-snap manipulation, shifting formations, and sending men in motion, designed specifically to create just a fraction of a second of hesitation in the minds of opposing linebackers. When you combine Johnson's architectural genius with Taylor's elite processing speed and vision, you create an offense where the defense is always constantly a half step behind. The moment a linebacker freezes just for milliseconds to diagnose the pre-snap motion, Taylor has already read the blocking leverage, he has already found the cutback lane, he has already passed the second level before the linebacker even disengages from his block. This amazing synergy between offensive scheme and player profile makes the Chicago Bears virtually indefensible on any down in any situation in any stadium across the entire league.
Now, let's get into the business side of things in Section 4, Anatomy of the Trade. Because greatness in the NFL doesn't come free. It comes with a heavy, heavy toll. What is the exact price of a championship-altering blockbuster trade for the best running back alive, especially when he is entering the final year of a massive $42 million deal? You simply cannot acquire a superstar of this caliber without feeling the sting of the cost. Chicago's general manager Ryan Poles has to weigh the long-term future of his franchise against the immediate intoxicating reality of a Super Bowl window that is sitting wide open right now. So here is the proposed anatomy of the deal. The Chicago Bears receive Jonathan Taylor. In exchange, the Indianapolis Colts receive a 2027 third-round pick and a highly coveted 2028 first-round pick. Now, you might be thinking, a future first and a third for a running back? That's insane. But let's break down exactly why paying this exorbitant premium of future draft capital is absolutely mandatory for Chicago right now. We have to look at the pure economics of the NFL rookie wage scale. When you have a franchise quarterback on a rookie contract performing at an elite level, like Caleb Williams is, your championship window is violently compressed. You have roughly 3 to 4 years of massive salary cap surplus before Caleb Williams inevitably demands a market-resetting contract north of $60 million a year. Once you pay the quarterback, the entire math of your roster changes, so the time for hoarding draft picks is over. If we look at the traditional Jimmy Johnson trade value chart, or even the more modernized Rich Hill model that front offices use today, a future first-round pick depreciates an immediate present-day value. By trading away a 2028 first-round pick, the Bears are mortgaging a future asset that won't even step onto an NFL practice field for another 2 full years. By the time that pick actually matters to the salary cap, this current Chicago core should already have a Super Bowl ring on their fingers. It is a calculated, mathematically sound, and entirely necessary sacrifice to maximize the highest leverage years of Williams' rookie deal. You have to push your chips into the middle of the table.
But as we know, a trade requires 2 willing partners. Why in the world would Indianapolis ever let a generational talent like Jonathan Taylor just walk out the door? You have to look at the cold, hard reality of the Colts' current timeline and their specific salary cap mechanics. Indianapolis is undergoing a massive, painful transitional phase. They're pivoting to a very pragmatic rebuild centered around quarterback Daniel Jones and wide receiver Alec Pierce. To effectively facilitate that teardown and rebuild, their front office desperately needs premium future draft capital to restock the trenches, both the offensive and defensive lines. Furthermore, moving Taylor right now instantly saves the Colts $13 million in vital salary cap space. By moving his contract off the books, they accelerate their dead cap hits into a non-competitive bridge year, basically clearing the financial slate for the future. But most importantly, and this cannot be overstated, trading him now completely avoids the toxic, protracted drama of applying the franchise tag to a disgruntled star running back in 2026. A franchise tag standoff is a nightmare. It destroys locker room morale, creates a media circus every single day, and freezes a front office's ability to operate smoothly in free agency because they don't know what their exact cap number is going to be. For the Colts, this trade is a painful but structurally necessary extraction to fund their future rebuild.
Which brings us to our final point, Section 5, the Super Bowl juggernaut.
If Ryan Poles actually pulls the trigger and executes this trade, the balance of power in the NFL doesn't just shift, it shatters completely. We have to zoom out for a second and look at the monstrous entity that the Chicago Bears would become. Look at this completed core on the screen. Seriously, just let these names wash over you and consider the sheer magnitude of the cost-controlled talent assembled here. At quarterback, you have the dynamic, elite processor in Caleb Williams. On the outside, you have the spectacular contested catch ability of Rome Odunze and the explosive field-stretching speed of Luther Burden III, all operating on highly efficient, team-friendly rookie contracts. Over the middle of the field, you have the mismatched nightmare tight end, Colston Loveland. Anchoring the defensive side of the ball, ensuring you can close out games, you have the relentless pass-rushing terror of Montez Sweat. And now, plunging like an absolute dagger into the heart of the backfield, Jonathan Taylor.
I want you to imagine being an opposing defensive coordinator for a second. You are standing on the sideline, looking down at your play sheet, and you are literally sweating. You have to game plan for 5 distinct, game-breaking mismatch nightmares on a single given play. If you double-team Odunze on the boundary, Burden beats your single-high safety over the top. If you drop your linebackers deep into zone coverage to bracket Loveland over the middle, Jonathan Taylor is staring at a wide-open rushing lane against the light box. Adding the best running back alive to this already young, explosive core doesn't just make Chicago a contender, it creates the single most complete, bulletproof roster in the entire conference. There are no holes. There are no schematic weaknesses left to exploit. You literally have to hope they make a mistake because you cannot beat them straight up.
And that brings us to the haunting realization facing the rest of the National Football League right now. As the source material so chillingly puts it, they don't just win the division, they become the team everyone is trying to avoid come January. This hypothetical trade is the definitive death blow to the old guard of the NFC. It is the absolute blueprint of a modern NFL dynasty fully realized. So how will the rest of the league respond to a team that simply has no flaws? Can anyone match this level of firepower? That is the ultimate question as we march into this pivotal season. Thank you so much for diving deep with us on this explainer today. I really hope you enjoyed it. Remember to subscribe to NFL Nexus, like this explainer, leave your thoughts in the comments below. I read as many as I can, and please consider becoming a channel member to support more exhaustive, highly detailed tactical breakdowns just like this one. It really helps keep the lights on and lets us make these deep dives for you. I will leave you with this one final thought. If Ryan Poles picks up the phone and makes this call, who in the NFL can possibly stop them? Keep your eyes on the horizon, folks. The league is about to change forever.